Okay, welcome to Christian Men Unscripted. I'm Alan Underwood. I'm here with John Hardy and Seth Lazon. We're back in the studio, again, in my loft.
Hey.
It's a pain in the butt to get going here. I'm not going to be distracted this time, guys.
Well, you're starting off that way, bro, but it's fine.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's fine.
But we have a couple things we want to talk about. First and foremost, how was everybody's week?
It's great.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you. That was excellent.
It was the best.
It
Yeah.
was the best. How about you, John?
Yeah.
You know what? Typical, right? It was, Seth always puts it better, right? When I'm like, I'm way too busy. It was a full calendar of good things or something. A few weeks ago, we talked about this.
Instead of being busy, it's like, my life is full.
Yeah, full. I had a full calendar, I will tell you that, dude, including getting here to record today. So, yeah. It's been good. How about yourself, man?
Yeah, life's been pretty good. You know, it's funny. I've had a lot of thoughts, and that's what this podcast today made me want to talk about. So what we're going to get into, Seth, and we haven't even talked to you about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Seth, we just came up with the topic we want to talk about here shortly.
And then we got dogs barking in the back.
Wow. Are those sound effects or are those real?
Those are real. That's my beast. He's 115 pounds.
Oh.
But what I want to talk about is, because as people seen on the podcast how I've kind of felt lately over the last month or two, I've had a lot of like issues with like not trusting people, being angry at people, feeling like
he's angry.
I don't want.
We're going to talk. Hey, this is like an intervention. Okay, keep going.
No, man, I'm good. What I want to talk about is like, how do we? It came up at church, and how do we love one another like Christ loved us? Because I have a hard time with it sometimes, where I feel like sometimes that there's like things that are happening in my life that I don't have any love for somebody, for a person, a certain individual, that I really want bad things to happen to. And listen, the things that have happened, let's start this. Let me give a context. Okay. So our family, we've had some issues. There's a person that came into our life who kind of hurt people in our family. And it all started on social media. It started with somebody pretending to be somebody they're not and threatening us and threatening to hurt our family, and actually at one point even making that happen when I didn't know. So this person is in jail. He is awaiting trial. But my wife and I were talking, and she's like, well, you got to pray for him and this and that. I go, the only thing I pray for is that he steps foot on my property. And you can interpret that however you want. So, and I know that when it comes to social media we've talked about social media, there is bad things out there. There's so many people, kids, adults are addicted to social media. It takes away from your family by you're just scrolling. There's covenants on there. There's lust that happens on there. But there's also a lot of people on there that are taking advantage of people. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. And if somebody's out there and this has happened to you or your family or your kids, I would like you to contact us and let us know, because I would like to talk to you about it, because I feel like kids are being influenced. Kids are being bullied. Even adults are being bullied. Adult people are being bullied on social media, and there's good to social media. And I hate this stand. I'm gonna take it off. So there's good. We use it for our podcast. We use it to minister to people. Yeah. But we also have to be careful of what we're looking at.
Well, for sure.
What our family's looking at, we need to know, and that's part of our responsibility as parents to know what our kids are looking at. And there's a lot of people out there who want to take advantage of you on it. And there's a lot of bad. I feel like social media should be held accountable, like anything, like the cigarettes back in the 60s, 70s, where they're like, oh, it's great. It's, but then they had to put warnings on. There should be warnings on social media that this is addicting, that there's individuals out there who are trying to do bad.
Attorney General warning.
Yeah,
you may become addicted to this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that is in the Senate, I think, or one of the, I don't know how it works, but it's in one of the houses of Congress they're trying to get that passed. But how do you forgive somebody who's put hurt on your family and I can't get into it because there's a lot going on, and our family doesn't want it out there for everybody to know, and I understand that, and I don't necessarily want it out there either. But talking to people at church, talking to individuals, I do not trust people anymore right now. And it's been like that for about a year. And I don't want to say that I don't love everybody. I do. But when I talk to people, I see the bad in them all of a sudden. I see like, are you for real? Are you trying to be somebody you're not? And I was never like that until this incident happened.
Yeah.
And do I love people? Yes, I'm actually talked about it. I'm doing better. I'm trying to have more conversations with people. But how do I love people like Christ loved us? How do I love my enemy when all I really want to do is do harm to that person? And I'm just being honest. I'm just being real. Yeah. It's not a good feeling to have.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and let me tell you guys, this is just the great thing to just be.
Just dump it on.
Just dump it on me.
Hey,
yeah.
Seth,
that's why it's unscripted.
Yeah. Put your headset on.
Earlier. I told you to get here by 4 o'clock, and 4:30. You walk in at 4:37.
Hey, you're on the microphone.
So now I'm angry at you.
Yeah, 4:30. You're on the microphone. Here we go.
He doesn't trust me. It's okay.
I do, man. But I know heavy topic, and
but a real one, a very valid topic. I love you actually brought up a few topics.
Yes, and it kind of goes into everything. I'm overlaying things. I really want to start working or hearing people's stories about. I feel that like social media should be held accountable. I feel like they should protect people, kids, us, adults. And I can't be on social media. If you scroll on one thing on social media and you look at, and this is you look at something like a advertisement, they know that you want to look at that. They know you want to buy that, and you'll keep getting it, and you'll keep getting it. But they don't have something on there when somebody's threatening you or, threatening your family, threatening your kids. I had to be told by detectives in another city that this was happening. Mm-hmm. And then they asked me, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to tell the whole world. They go, hey, we need to get this guy in custody. He's threatening to come hurt you, your kids, your family. But we don't have him in custody right now. Do you want protection? And then my first thought was, no, I please do not want protection. I want this man, person, individual to come to my house because I'll be home and I will take care of it. But that's not a great way to think because I can't watch my whole family all the time. They drive, they go out, they do things. Mm-hmm. Good thing is that this person is now in custody. He can't hurt me. He can't hurt my family. We're going to have to go to court. I'm going to have to go to court on him. It's not that big a deal. There's way worse things that have happened to people on social media. Kids have committed suicide by being bullied on social media. They feel like they don't fit in. They feel like they can't live up to a standard that they see on social media. And, I saw one thing on the news, it was probably 5 years ago, where this girl was anorexic because she wanted to look like these models, and she wouldn't eat. She almost died. And there's no warnings on social media to say, hey, don't be influenced somehow by
hey, none of this is real.
Right. Don't so that's where I'm at. I'm kind of like, it's been bugging me. I feel like we'll probably get kicked off YouTube and Instagram and everything for this podcast. No. But I do feel like there's good, that we can use it for good, but the good doesn't outweigh the bad in my opinion.
Yeah. Anybody
got anything?
I got stuff. Because there's just a lot. Basically, you're talking about spiritual warfare for sure, right? Which is always real. We have the depravity of humanity, if you will. People are fallen, and this is yet another platform, another opportunity for both businesses to capitalize, greed, right? That gets to stand out, for covetousness, where people get to look and see, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to have that happy lifestyle that isn't real anyways. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are all spiritual warfare things. We've talked about this before, that this is now an entirely new realm, if you will, this digital realm that Satan uses. And then people, by the way, let's be honest, evil, depraved people, they just go right along with the plan, whether Satan's even influencing them or not, because they just have a heart for evil and will victimize individuals. And so we end up seeing what spiritual warfare looks like. It comes right into our home. We forget these devices, phones, that have access to the World Wide Web or whatever, and all the social media stuff. It is like literally intimate access to every person in your household, even your little kids, because they pick up an iPad or they pick up a whatever, even if they don't have a phone yet. We see it. Yep. And they can become victimized and not even know it. Look at the culture we're looking at right now, right? So you're talking about a huge topic here for starters, right? When you start talking about media stuff. Yeah. If you have something on that, jump in, because then I want to talk about the vengeance side of things as well. Go ahead, Seth.
Certainly. Social media is like the Wild West. There's very little oversight. There's very little, things you can do, about this. There are detectives doing their job, but there's... Yeah,
but I feel like that's where they go wrong, is there's no oversight. Mm-hmm. But how that looks, that's like I hear politicians all the time talk about gun control, but they never come up with a solution for that. I hear it all the time. Like, what are you talking about, gun control? Just like social media oversight. Well, what do we do for that?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure we don't know. We can't figure that out here because we all use social media. So it's like,
the gun control and social media issues that you're talking about, that's tying a couple things in. It's not about control on those things. It's about we have a mental health crisis. We have a
Yes.
spiritual health crisis,
Right.
worse than that, right? Supersedes, if you will, and then the mental health crisis is because of the spiritual crisis in this country. Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the tools, has nothing to do with the digital technology, a gun or a tool being used. It has to do with spiritual depravity.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, go ahead, Seth. You were still back on that, talking about there might be some oversight on social media, things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I was getting at is that we as humans, we tend to go to the extreme of things. Like like nobody invented social media for the evils. Nobody
Right.
invented guns for the evils,
Right.
but we experience the evil through people who are taking advantage of different things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that goes to that point, like spiritual depravity, mental illnesses. Like you tend to get your worth from the things that you put your time into, and a lot of people put a lot of time into social media, and that can cause them to view reality differently than it truly is.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've experienced that with our as a youth pastor, I've experienced that where people are getting, my best friends are, I met them online, or I met them playing video games, and there are great people that do those things. I'm not bashing anyone who has good friends online or uses it well, but
Yeah.
there are some really negative things that come from it.
Mhm.
And I think that when we, this is a good topic to talk about, especially now when we talk about, the political ads, all these different, all the people that are throwing bombs over comments and different things, and just letting them fall without any sort of recourse or any sort. Like if I were to go to you and say the same thing that someone else said to me on a comment, they would have been on the ground.
Right.
You can't do that. But from a Christian perspective, I think sometimes we expect life to be better than we know that it is. In terms of like, for us as humans in America, our idols, so to speak, are comfort. One of the things that I talk about pretty often with my Bible study group I'm teaching is the Western mind, the Western lie is that comfort is what we're made for. We're made for comfort.
I do like comfort though.
Yeah, no, I mean that's
we like it.
We
yeah.
do. We like
Agreed.
it.
We like it, but
We do like
you're
it.
exactly right about the perception of is that the goal?
Yeah, that is not certainly not the goal. And I believe it's First Peter, where he says, these fiery trials, like why are you surprised that these are happening? You should be aware that they're happening, but they happen to try our faith, to refine our faith to make it better than gold. And so I always think about that. I'm like, oftentimes the reason I'm upset is because I expected something that was never actually going to happen. Like I'm more upset because I expected someone to respond to me in a way that I wanted them to respond to me. But they're responding to me based on something that they're perceiving my response as something that they didn't expect. And so we're all operating under a certain amount of expectations that no one else knows,
Right.
and so no one else can respond to us in the way that we expect them to, and so there's all these hurt feelings, and that doesn't address the blatant evil that people have expressed on social media. But I think that if we start to expect that people are going to be evil, then that will change the way that we respond to those who aren't. Our expectations will be different when they respond to us in ways that we don't want them to.
Maybe we won't be thrown off like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like getting punched in the face and you're all of a sudden blurry a little bit. You kind of expected the punch come in, so you're kind of more ready for it when you know that that's
like,
how it is.
Yeah, like we're in a boxing match and I got punched in the face. I'm like, you shouldn't have punched me in the face.
Right? Yeah, exactly. This shouldn't happen. I'm in a boxing ring wearing boxing gloves and in the middle of a fight. This should not have happened. Right?
You shouldn't have hit me in the face. That way.
Yeah.
So that goes. So that's first part of the what we're talking about. But the second part is that person that have done wrong to you on these platforms, on just in life in general. How do you then get over that. And, love the enemy.
You're talking about Matthew
Pray
5,
for
where
those who persecute
well,
you.
yeah, because like you have, first of all, what is one of the greatest commandments is love your neighbor as yourself. That's Leviticus 19:18. That's an Old Testament thing that sort of says it summarizes the entire law.
So,
and then Jesus expands on it is exactly what we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, but I say unto you, love your enemies and pray for them that persecute you, that ye may be sons of your Father who is in heaven, for maketh his sun to rise in the evil and the good. And sendeth rain and just. So that was what I was talking about. Like,
Matthew 5, 44,
45.
Yeah.
So as pastors, it's great for you guys. I'm not a pastor, and this is what I'm struggling with, because the only prayer that I have is not that anything good comes from it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I know that's a wrong prayer. I understand that. I get it.
It's not necessarily
I've
wrong.
had people tell me that, you have to love people and God will judge them and God will take care of that. So okay, I get that. And I know that love your brothers, what is that? 1 John.
If you say that you love your brother, but you don't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that is, I felt like that is more of a Christian brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whenever you see that term, it's usually another fellow believer,
right?
More often than not.
So, and this is what I've been struggling with. And I feel like it's, and that's why I'm glad I got you guys here, because I want to know, are these feelings that I'm having, are these issues that I've been struggling with over the last 3-4 months, where I don't trust people in my church who I love, and I've always trusted. I never thought anything of it. Or now I'm like, I'm very weary of the things they do, the reason they do things. And I told you guys in the last podcast, I know that this is a me issue. This is something that has happened to me, and to find that love my brother, my Christian brother. Yeah. I need to get back to that.
Yeah.
And also, do I pray for somebody who's hurt us, that they find the Lord, and or do I keep this thought in my head like, I pray that you knock on my door, because then you can go meet your maker wherever that may be. And I'm not saying that to be rude or some kind of tough guy, because I'm not. It could go totally wrong, but that's the thoughts that are in my head. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I think a lot of people have those thoughts.
Because it's easy to say, as a drunk driver, say kills your son or daughter. On the outside looking in, you see it on the news, you go, oh, I feel bad for the driver, I feel bad for them. But as a parent, how do you forgive that person? How do you forgive people that have wronged you? I understand that as a Christian, that's what we're supposed to do. But it's easier said than done. When you're on the outside looking in, it's great. You should forgive them. But when it happens to you as a Christian, it's harder to do.
I can share. I definitely hear. Let me take some of the.
You guys are thrown off by all this.
No, not even at all. It's just so much. It's so much content that you keep throwing that it's like, which one do we pick,
right?
And where do we go? Because
I know it's just been on my mind the last 2 days.
Well, let me first share some conviction of my own. Okay. We know that I worked homicide. It's no secret. I don't think. I think we've talked about it a little bit.
What?
I worked homicide.
You worked homicide?
So I worked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deaths. And I really mean that. I mean a lot, right? They were very busy. We were a busy jurisdiction. But what I can share with you is I have stood over, and by the way, even before that, I've seen guys getting shot who I'm the last person they talk to while they're bleeding to death. Gangsters and stuff, who, by the way, I've tried to be like, you better believe in Jesus, bro, because you're done right now, kind of a thing. Very crass, very hard. I look back, I feel terrible at some of the times I was involved in those things, because when you're in like the blood and the nastiness of what the street really looks like, and then you're like, here's my point is I'm trying to get to kind of share that I'm as guilty as anyone. I've stood over more dead guys like that were bad guys, like, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, dude, the world is a way better place. I'm literally looking at the dead body. I know that there's family mourning. In fact, I've got gruesome stories of family breaking police lines and trying to grab their dead loved one who was in the middle of a crime and got themselves killed. And I had a little bit of it as a coping mechanism when you're dealing with so much brutality all the time. But I would have like that, like, dude, screw these people. Like this kid is a piece of garbage kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. He's victimizing everybody. We're way better off that he's dead. So I was very up close and personal at being very judgy and very the opposite of loving your neighbor as yourself. And I claimed to be a Christian, and I was actively involved in Christian ministry, but then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing over some dead guy that was committing a crime and got himself killed, and I'm like, we're way better off. Screw this guy.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with him getting killed, so there's no guilt there.
Right.
But my attitude was dang sure not very Christian at all, right?
Yeah.
So I want to share with you that it's not unusual. Seth already said it. It's absolutely not unusual to have those feelings, especially when you've been victimized. And by the way, righteously praying that God's justice might be enacted is fine, right? There is
Right.
a time for those things, But you're right. What a hard thing. You mentioned it. Your wife even said, "What about we need to pray for this guy?"
Yeah.
She's so right. She's
She's
so right. But
100%
what a
right.
hard thing to do. You know what I mean? So I kind of want
But
to.
I have her doing that, so I'm good.
Yeah, she's covering for the
covering
whole
up.
family. But it is a hard thing, dude, because you're talking about like
but-
in Romans 12, it even talks about that. Like it's always quoting that we're called to love others, right? That's the golden rule: treat others, love others. It all comes from Leviticus 19:18. But Jesus, you're right. He expanded on it. He said, pray for your neighbors, because God causes rain on the evil just as much as the good, because He actually provides for His creation and wants all of us to turn to Him. He's not willing that any should perish. So He wants us as Christians to represent Him even to the people that we hate. That's a hard thing, dude. I'm just throwing it back at you guys. Seth, what do you got on that? Because it is hard. I'm just being honest. It is hard. I get it.
No, I think that it's okay to certainly have those feelings, and especially even to share them with trusted people and our 12 listeners, and watchers. Like we trust.
We don't have any watchers, but we haven't been putting it out because we don't like our videos.
We'll get this video thing
we'll
going
get
eventually.
there,
I don't
but-
care.
Yeah.
I
I think it's Seth. I look at it on video. I'm like, it's not good for him. today.
It's fine. Whatever.
He's having a bad hair day.
I'm gonna.
You don't have a beard.
Is it because I have?
Yeah, if
is
you
it
get a
'cause-
beard, it covers your
my double chin.
Yeah.
My double chin.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
why we
yeah.
have.
Anyway, go ahead.
That's why we have beards.
All right, guys. Put my chin out a little
That's
bit
why we
better.
have beards.
Okay.
No, keep
No,
going. I'm
finish
sorry.
it.
Back to the topic.
all right.
Okay.
Yes, but I think it's certainly good. I mean, you think about even Psalm 139, one of the most beautiful psalms ever. But there's like 4 verses where it's like, don't I hate those who hate you, and don't I all the people who do evil, like get them away from me. Like there's that kind of prayer, even in some of these really beautiful. You know me, you form my inmost being, and so we know that it's okay to bring all these things to the Lord and ask for His help. If someone murders a loved one, I remember when I was in high school, I had one of my best friend's sisters was murdered by one of our other classmates, and it was something where I was weeping, and asking, Lord, why would you do this? Like, why would you allow this to happen? And it really impacted me, and impacted everyone in my class, in my graduating class. Yeah. But it's something where I had to ask that question, God, why did you let this evil thing happen? And it's something where I think when we, like Jesus wept when death came for his friend Lazarus. Mm-hmm. He wept, but what he was going to do was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. So why would you weep when you're going to do that? Well, I think it's because that's not how life is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. We were never created to decay in the way that we have, and when we die, but also it's emotionally, morally, spiritually, how we have decayed. So far from what God has intended for us as people. But Jesus himself experienced the most betrayal, the most, the most unjust trial that we could ever imagine, and he experienced all of the temptation, all the pain that we have. So we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with his people, as that says in Hebrews. Like, he knows everything that we experience, and so it's a really, really good thing that he's experienced all these things, because when you're experiencing something like this, Alan, and when others people who are listening or watching, or when we experience those things as my kids grow, we have someone who knows how we feel, and ultimately he took all of those things away from us when he died on the cross. He took the pain, he took all the shame that we experience, even from those who have been maybe perpetrators of those things. God has taken those things away if you're truly repentant, right? And I think we've talked about this before, is repentance. I want the Lord to forgive me for all the things that I've done. And it's a great amount of things that I have kept from people.
What's the worst thing? No, I'm just kidding.
Just murdered.
Just murder. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Just joking.
So
unsolved murder in Michigan. They're calling us.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, we're gonna start getting calls. Hey,
did I tell you that I'm related to a serial killer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
All right.
terrible. Yeah, we
Wait.
did talk about that.
Yeah. Aren't you? You're also related to
Some terrible,
doctor
the terrible
who
doctor.
Yeah, related to
Abraham
Sam
Lincoln.
Mudd, who helped.
Sam Mudd.
His name is Mudd.
Yeah.
That was, by the way, an excellent series. Okay, hold on.
Primus sings that song.
What was that series on Apple about that, though?
Lincoln?
Lincoln. Was
Yeah.
it called Lincoln?
Lincoln.
You sure?
Or Abraham Lincoln? I don't know.
It was great,
know.
though. It was a series
I
on
was
Apple.
thinking of National
They
Treasure.
talked about your Uncle Mudd, and it was
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was an idiot. You know, I mean, he was whatever. Okay, so listen.
Hey, he was just doing what he's supposed to do. He was
Yeah, he
helping
was-
people in need.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
sorry,
sure
never
didn't
mind.
portray him that way. Okay, so let's go all the way back. Yes, I don't want to. By the way, I don't want to diminish it. What you just talked about was the most powerful thing, which is that we are all guilty of sin. And in summary, every one of us deserves death on a cross, if we're being honest, right? We don't deserve a relationship with a loving Father who literally created us, that we've completely gone the other way. Even the best of us really offers nothing for him. You know, he just loves us and has this for us, and so Christ died for us. But now come back to, you did say something like, he took our sin, he took our shame, all these things, our hurts, they were all put on him. That doesn't mean I don't want to have someone think that there's some kind of delusional thing that we don't still go through things that we are hurt by or whatever. So to go back to Alan's point, it does suck that the Bible tells us vengeance belongs to the Lord. and it's true, right? The Apostle Paul, he quotes in Romans, he actually quotes Deuteronomy, the vengeance belongs to the Lord, because our God is perfect justice and justice belongs to him. And that's comes back to, you either choose to believe in Jesus or you don't, and if you don't, you really are going to pay for everything, and that sucks, Otherwise, he sees us, our sins is gone. But in the meantime, when we're victimized, we all love those movies, dude. I love that movie Nobody. I love Beekeeper.
Nobody. Beekeeper is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. They're over the top. They're ridiculous. They're not, by the way, what do you call that? They're not good. Like, as a pastor, I can't tell my church, you guys should watch this movie. It's great. They're
My
like,
pastor actually said, I loved Beekeeper because they got what was coming to them. And it was during service on a Sunday. So I was like, this is great.
That's honesty, right? Because we really do love that, especially as a man who's seen injustices and victimization. And then if you yourself are victimized and you went after for decades guys that victimize others, like we were the hunters in our career. I'm being honest with you, Seth. I know, you're an athlete, so you can kind of have that sense of you're on the same team. You're out there when you're dominating, you feel good. That's sort of what happens when you're kind of out there and you catch guys who are legitimate bad guys. I'm not just talking about the mundane every. I mean, believe me, you see heroic stuff every day. You really do. But every once in a while, it's like, dude, like I said, even in homicide, like this, it is good. This dude is dead, right? Or we caught a guy. But then when you are victimized, now you're kind of getting older. You're past it. You're victimized.
Me?
You are getting older.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
It shows. And then all of a sudden, dude, it's almost like you're helpless. But you're like, but I'm not helpless, bro. Like, I'm like, come to my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that mentality. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
And I know it's also wrong. We're supposed to pray for our enemies. Vengeance belongs to the Lord. And so it is a struggle, dude. I'm just going to be honest. It's a struggle. Because I've known Alan for a long time, and I feel the same way. Like, I want to, if I'm being fully honest, I want to cause him to hurt a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just being honest. I know it's not spiritual. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Love those movies where you see guys doing bad stuff to bad people because the people were bad.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that stuff. And it is totally the opposite of being an honest, spiritual, genuine, faithful Christian.
Right. And that's kind of why we do this podcast. We'll say it again. We said it the last 3 episodes. We're just real. We're men who have struggles, family struggles. Somebody wants to hurt our family. We want to take that upon ourselves to handle it.
You
But
have I've protected other people's families.
Right.
You've protected other people's
Right.
families. Bro, you have no idea what I've had to do to other human beings on behalf of society. And now you're coming to my house? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
oh, eesh,
Yeah.
it makes me so frustrated, dude. Even talking to you about it, I'm getting angry right now.
I see that.
But yet, we got to give it up to God. I got to pray
Yeah.
for. We do have to pray for that guy. We have to genuinely pray for that guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No, I agree.
what you guys have mentioned, that you guys mentioned movies and stuff, and it reminded me, have you guys ever seen Count of Monte Cristo?
No.
It's an early Jim
I believe I
Caviezel
have,
movie.
Yeah.
But
Heard of it, though.
he gets his best friend kind of gets him arrested so that he can marry his amazing girl. So he gets him arrested, and he's like, "Hey, help me out here." And he's like, "Oh no, I can't help you." And so then he's in prison, and for years he's training to go back and kill his best friend and figure out. So he does this training. This old man in prison trains him, and it's a really good movie. And sorry if I'm ruining it for you guys.
The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a book.
It's a book and a movie. So
Okay.
yeah, the book
Yeah.
was.
I'll have to watch it.
but at the
I
end,
mean, now you just ruined.
I ruined the whole thing.
Well, go
All
ahead.
right, so-
Okay, spoiler alert for
People
any
are gonna be
listeners.
so
who-
mad
Plug-
on there.
yeah, I know.
30-year-old
It's been-
movie?
yeah, right. Yeah, it's
Okay,
been for so long. But at the end, like he finally gets his his moment and kills his friend, and his friends while he's dying is like, "What happened to your mercy?" And then he starts walking away, and he's like, and he's wrestling with the reality that it didn't fix the injustice. Like it didn't fix everything. It just it kind of the guy didn't suffer the way that he did, and so you can't expect those things that you want to do to bring about the justice that you're hoping will bring, and that's and every time you think about those things. I think about that movie because there's times where I'm like, man, these people, if I could just maybe run them over with my car. I've said this several times in
I'm
this
starting
podcast.
to get a little bit worried. But
People
yeah,
are probably like, what kind of Christians are that? What kind of pastors are these
these are
guys?
the
How are
worst.
I getting
Hey, guys.
these guys?
these are the
guys.
worst, dude.
No,
I agree.
no. But we
Pray for
all
us.
have these things. Like I wish, like if someone were to come to my family, like there's nothing I wouldn't do to protect them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, that's righteous. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. We're talking about vengeance,
Yeah.
enacting vengeance versus righteous violence, if you
but
will.
I know that there are many missionaries, in Africa. Like there was a witch doctor. I believe his name was Coney, and he was a witch doctor in Africa, and he would kidnap kids, sacrifice them, castrate them, do these different things, and there were murdering these kids, and there were missionaries who were like, he's in the town over, like, should I go kill him, like, because he's doing these awful things to people.
Yeah.
And so there's that with Hitler, like other people like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a pastor, was a part of an assassination attempt
Sure.
on an evil person who had caused pain not just to his family and his friends, but to so many different people that he would never have even met. But there are those things.
If I hear you right, you're giving me go ahead.
No, I'm not giving you permit. I'm not giving you the go ahead. But
There's an interesting argument
Thank you,
in all of
Pastor
this.
Seth.
Yeah.
No, there's an interesting argument in all of it because you have people who are conscientious objectors
Mm-hmm.
that are heavy. There's a famous movie about a kid that won a medal and stuff, and I wish I could think of his name.
Yeah. No, it's Hacksaw Ridge. There was
The guy's name though. They made
Desmond Doss.
Is that it? See,
Yeah.
I love all the trivia you have.
Yeah.
So
You
anyway,
should be
okay,
on
you're going.
Jeopardy.
The point is, you're going down a realm.
As
I
long
know
as
where you're
he's
coming.
he's the leader of Jeopardy, I will play against.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Ken Jennings, Alex Trebek of Jeopardy.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be great. Because there is a time for that. There is a time to kill people. I mean, they're genuine. I'm not, dude. I'm not.
Just the way it came out, I was like, oh, okay.
There is a time to kill.
They're. You know what I mean?
Ecclesiastes
Yeah,
says,
and you're
there's a time-
protecting. We know. I can speak. We can speak from experience as
War.
police officers. There is a time to. You have to stop the violence. And by the way, it's not because
life.
I woke up and decided I want to kill that guy today.
Right. Yeah.
It's this man has to be stopped. This person has
Yeah.
to be stopped. Hitler needs to be stopped. For instance, what you're saying, you're getting it. That is righteous, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's not
Yeah.
fine. It's not great.
Yeah.
You know.
So
what I
that
mean?
that brings that question. Have you guys heard that? Like, if you could go back in time and Hitler was born, would you kill baby Hitler?
Yeah.
That's a interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
the answer is yeah. You
I-
kind of have to. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to be mean. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But it's such a hypothetical, non-existent.
Yeah, non-existent.
actually-
But that
you can
begs
just
the
say, no, you
question
don't, of
that
course
you would change the
literally-
course of history, and then what would happen?
Yeah. I
Do you let
literally,
history go? That's
You're not God. That's
It's like a
the
TV
point.
show.
I listened to a funny comedian, Joe Zimmerman, and he had a little bit about this. He was like, "Hey, would you kill baby Hitler?" And he's like, "You have to tell me how you do it."
Oh God.
He's
Just
like,
awful.
he's like, and it was really funny. He's like, "I wouldn't kill a baby. Like you said, you'd kill a baby. It's a little bit weird for you." He's
Yeah.
like, what I would do is I'd take the baby with me back in time, and I'd be like, "Hey," they're like, "How do you get that baby?" And he was like, and they're like, "I just went back in time." And the guy's like,
There's a better answer,
"Who's like,
by the way.
who's this baby?" It's like, "Oh, it's Hitler." And like, who? And like, see, it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a way better answer. Yeah, that's a way better answer. 'Cause you're
When
exactly
you were
right. It's
telling
terrible.
the movie The Count of Monte Cristo, Crisco,
Yeah.
Crisco,
Not
dude.
Crisco.
Delicious Crisco. Yeah. It's,
it reminded me of that Nate Bargatze when he's like, "You've seen The Sixth Sense," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Spoiler alert, he's
Yeah.
dead the whole time."
Yeah.
exactly,
If
dude.
nobody's seen it,
Like a 30-year-old. 100%. I was thinking of that as well.
that's
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we on time? We should probably be wrapping up.
Yeah,
pretty
we
soon,
can wrap
I
up.
feel
But
like.
I will tell you that at the beginning of The Sixth Sense, I was with my wife watching it, and I go, "He's dead." I figured it out first
Oh,
5
look
minutes.
at you.
Well, the first time
I wasn't even
well,
a homicide detective.
I was watching it too, and I was like, didn't we just see him die?
Yeah.
But throughout, I'm like, I guess he didn't. And then at the end, But that's like the Nate Bargatze bit where he's like, did they show us he died? Yeah, in the beginning they tell us he's dead
in the very beginning. Yeah,
but we just like
All right. So
stupid.
we'll
but
wrap it up.
vengeance is the Lord's.
Let's talk about this again. I don't think we have guests next week. Let's we may not have to spend the whole time on it, but I would like to jump back into this because I also like vengeance movies.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
How do we resolve this? Like, if people listen to this, like, are they going to think,
I'm going to get a posse together.
hey, let's go murder people. Like, let's go murder the bad guys.
Vengeance belongs to the Lord. Be prayerful. If you have been the victim of like all this online bullying and all the social media and all this other crap, please reach out to us. We want to hear your story.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on.
God loves you. We promise. And we really do need to be better. We are all a work in progress. Thank God for that. Because, I want to enact vengeance on this dude that has hurt my friend's family. I want to, too. I'm going to be honest with you. I know I could.
No. I mean, I think we all. I think as men, we I think that I've experienced it. We've all experienced it. And if you haven't experienced it, you just wait a few more years and
be blessed
you'll experience
right now.
it. You know?
Be blessed.
But I think what I want to just close on is that sometimes our expectations are what cause us to feel like we need to take vengeance when in reality nobody knows their expectations. Like, even in marriage or even relationships, whatever, if I say, hey, I can't believe you didn't do this. Why did you ever? Like, I didn't know that you wanted me to do this.
Right.
Like, I didn't know. Like, this is an expectation you did not communicate to me, so I could never meet your expectation.
You mean you're not a mind reader? You don't know exactly what your wife thinks and wants?
No, I'm not.
Weird,
I'm not.
Dude.
Now, after I got to know her in relationship, I'm like, she would love if I did this. She didn't ask me to do it, or you guys have done the same thing. Excuse me, but you get through.
Burped on camera.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
I hope you can't edit that out.
No, I don't. There's no editing.
Not anymore. Yeah, we're too good for
we're
this.
Past that, yeah.
But as I get to know in relationship with my wife, I can sometimes know things that she doesn't have to tell me because I'm in a close relationship. So sometimes I can know what she expects because we've been communicating more. But when it comes to the people around us, specifically people we don't know, specifically people who aren't Christians, we should never expect them to act Christian because they're
Fair
not.
Point. Yeah.
And so for people to act, for people to do evil against us, it's like they're this is the world. They're just doing what their father would do, and I hate that, and I don't want that to happen, and I hope that this person gets convicted of their sin and wants to make amends, because the Lord does want us to repent and to turn away. And there's in Leviticus that you repay people for the things that you have done, and so there's a reality that we have a responsibility as people who have hurt people and who have been hurt. For us, if they're a Christian who's hurt us, we bring it to them. We say, hey, you hurt me in this way. If they're not Christian, our expectation of them to act a certain way was probably not a good thing for us to expect of that person. So for us, my final thought is, when we're in the realm of social media, we should expect evil to come for us. We should expect people to come and try to steal and kill and destroy, because that's what the devil wants. And so for us, what we need to do is, take Alan's story and say, man, I need to prepare my family for people that want to steal, kill, and destroy their lives, because that should be my expectation of them. Now, when it comes to the Christian family, when I do something rude, you need to bring it up to me and say, Seth, I expect you to act in a certain way because you are a Christian.
I'm going to start writing things down so I have a list for you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I've done a lot of things that, if you're listening to this and I have wronged you, just come to me.
I think it also says somewhere in Corinthians, don't keep score.
Love keeps no record of wrongs.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
There you go. All right. Sorry, guys. I just went off on a tangent there, but
that's good. I like it.
Expectations. Results.
I think we might jump back into that exact topic. I had to write. I keep my little notepad because you guys piqued my interest, so I wrote down. I even had to write sideways because I want to jump back in on that, I think, next time. What about you, Alan? What do you got? Closing on any of that?
No, I'm still angry. No, I'm actually, to be honest with you, I am not as angry as I was. I feel like it's my heart is softening.
Oh, way to talk through that one.
Not a lot, but I do. There's things that pop up. Like I talk to somebody about this, and they're like, "Well, he did this," and I'm like, "Oh, this," and I'm not going to curse. And then I'm like, okay, I'm back to the old me again. And I'm like, my wife is very good at wanting to pray for people,
That's
the
great.
persons who've wronged us, and it hasn't been anything crazy. I mean, it's not like he came and like kidnapped us or anything.
Yeah, but there were threats. So I mean,
there were threats made.
Threats are
They
threats.
were almost.
And he came close. Let's be honest. We don't want
Yeah.
to give up too much of this.
No, we can't.
Actually, we've probably
And-
already given up way too much. If
Yeah.
if he goes to a jury trial and they're like, "You totally ruined it," and he gets off, then we do have to enact vengeance so that we don't have to go further. There's a whole movie, Cape
Yeah,
Fear. It was a
it's
good
not-
one. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not
Just
that
keep
serious.
going. No,
But there was a point where it could have been. Let's put it that way.
they
But
had
it
better
wasn't.
not be playing this episode of our podcast at our trial for his death that we
Yeah,
had
right.
nothing to do with. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't even know his name. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
Nothing.
We
All right.
still have to investigate the arson of your house.
Oh man,
Yeah.
this is
Oh, yeah.
terrible,
Yeah.
guys. These are all jokes. Joking.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Well, next time we'll get back into it.
Be
And,
blessed. Don't be like us. Be blessed.
Don't do murder.
We're blessed. I'm saying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. Just don't be like us.
All right. Bye.
Eric